last 6 or 7 years, what are some of the key lessons that you have learned? If you were to sit down or write a book or talk about some of the things you've learned, especially as it relates to the whole concept of triple bottom line or running a socially responsible business. I mean, this is kind of a new trend to a large degree, which I think is wonderful. I think that's where the change is going to come from. But what are some of the key lessons you've learned in founding this business over the last 6 or 7 years?
Well, I think one early question was even, do we be a nonprofit or a for-profit?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So happy we're a for-profit. We could have pretty stupid early on and set ourselves up as a nonprofit, and would have a lot of troubles to this day because of that. And I think when you do accept that for-profit route, you have to accept that you want to provide an exceptional return to shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you just say we're a for-profit and we're going to give away all our profits, then that's kind of not the point.
Right.
The point is that if you could make your business activities beneficial, then you, by virtue of being a profitable business, can ideally attract capital and can scale. That's really kind of the whole point.
Right.
So we've had to look at things through the lens of what are the right numbers, what's the right percentage of revenue to share with our partners, and I think we were really ambitious early on, and we didn't realistically look at the model as how can this thing make a profit margin of X while still paying out this much. So we now are much more in the camp of a small piece of a big pie is the most beneficial thing, and that's how we reached a number like 6 million, which we would never have raised if we'd been giving away, say, 50% of the top line revenue or something absurd the whole time we were in business.
Right. So it's making sure you've got enough capital to reinvest back in the business to grow it so that you've got more profit to give away.
Well, exactly. I mean, we haven't paid any dividends to shareholders. So in a way, it's kind of like we paid out money to our partners that we could have reinvested in the business.
Right.
So it's kind of, but of course, if we hadn't paid out anything to this point, that would certainly hurt our credibility. So it's kind of finding that balance is key. I think the biggest advantage that triple bottom line companies have is the ability to attract both motivated employees and motivated customers far outside what a normal, or when I say normal, I mean non-triple bottom line business would do. And so the more the business can just ruthlessly leverage that, the better I think it's going to do. And I've seen businesses like this sometimes try to hide their mission when they post a job or something, rather than going out to the idealist.orgs and Net Impact MBA chapters and every other place you can find motivated people. And the same thing on the customer side. I mean, you may get some flack for wearing your heart on your sleeve as a brand, but you have to do it. You really have to hit people over the head with, we're a business doing a good thing and you should support us.
Absolutely. Well, it's the coming trend. I think it's what's going to change the world. I mean, it's got to start at the business level. And I think, there are more and more kids coming out of college that are looking for businesses where they can do both. They can both make a paycheck and impact the world, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think investors are looking for that too, right? I mean, the old model is maybe the Warren Buffett model of make as much money as possible and then give it away when you're old, which is at least better than give it away when you're dead. But,
right.
Hopefully the new generation can actively put their money to work for positive change.
Now, have you guys taken investment?
We bootstrapped the business the first 5 years.
Okay.
And then we did a deal with Good Capital about a little over a year ago, where we did raise venture capital. And Good Capital was a perfect partner on that because their objectives were the same as ours.
Right. And I could do another hour with you on finding the right capital partner, but
I still got you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Oh, I think you're breaking up on me a little bit.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to say I could do another hour with you on finding the right capital partner, but above and beyond picking someone who is like-minded, is there any other lessons you've learned in terms of picking the right capital partner?
Make sure you work with people who really know how to put together term sheets. I mean, Every term on a term sheet matters, and a lot of entrepreneurs will ignore that at their own peril, and especially when it's a Series A. Any term can affect Series B or anything else you do.
Right.
So I think that's critical. I think some entrepreneurs are just scared of capital, and I think that's the wrong approach. I think you can't really achieve. There's very few companies that have achieved world-changing size without capital investment, and there's a reason for that. I mean, I think companies should be glad if they can be a vehicle that capital can be grown. So I think the question is just structuring it right and investor alignment. Because if you don't have investor alignment, there can be a lot of pressure to be something you're not, or sell to someone that you don't want to sell to, or that kind of thing. One thing we did with Good Cap was we actually carved out 5% of founder stock and made that an option pool for our literacy partners. So before that, they weren't actually shareholders in the business, but now they actually are. They receive options based on how well they do their work and how well they help us.
Right.
So we kind of consider that a reverse poison pill, as it were. The literacy partners have a seat at the table anytime in the future.
Well, that's awesome. It really gets the buy-in, right?
Yeah.